Okay, no problems.
So we wait for people to join us. I'm gonna write in the chat. Feel free to use the Q&A to ask us questions. We have a champagne specialist here with us today, so we can learn everything about champagne. I'm very excited about this. It's my first champagne tasting online. See, people are still logging on. Give them a few minutes.
No problem.
We have people from all over the world are joining us. It's very exciting. We give it maybe one more minute. No, so I think we can probably start. So bonsoir.
Bonjour.
My French is terrible, so bear with me. But so welcome, Jean-Marc.
Oui.
It's a pleasure to have you here. I'm very excited to learn more about your family, your wines, and your winery. For those of you who don't know Charpentier, maybe you, Jean-Marc, you can tell us a little bit about your family and your winery.
Okay. Hello everybody. Excuse me, we present me from in beginning. My English is not so perfect. I try to speak you with my best English. My name is Mr. Charpentier, and my surname is Jean-Marc. It is a family in Champagne since 5 generations. And the focus for me, we are wine growers. We are independent wine growers. It is a French label because we work all my vineyards, and we come all the grapes coming in my winery, and we sell only my wine with my grapes, with my labels. With a particularity, we don't buy the grapes and we don't sell the grapes. We make everything with my grapes for my bottles. We make since 5 generations. We have located in Champagne. We have a round of by car 10 minutes to Épernay, and 30 minutes to Reims. It's very center of Champagne. For wine day, we have in the east of Paris, 120 kilometers in the east of Paris. And for to the airport, the Charles de Gaulle airport in Paris is 1 hour 30 minutes by car, because the airport is a good part in Paris for me and for you. Perhaps one time you coming in Champagne, for it's more easy for the travel in France or in the world. And yeah.
Here is the map, right, of your so you have Épernay here, and then Paris is this way.
Yes, in the west. Yeah. And it is my regions. And your possibility a little presentation of the winery? Yes.
Yeah, so we can. I have some
pictures.
So we can maybe start with your family, because I have a picture of your whole family.
Yes.
So this is you.
Yes, it is a family with my grandmothers, with my parents and my sisters, on my sons. It is we have possibility to check in the vineyard in Champagne. It is it's not standard vineyards. It is very small vineyards, and we have a high density of plantations in Champagne, around of 8,000-9,000 plants per hectares. It is around of the same of Burgundy. It is a very high density. On the particularity for me, we don't use chemical product in the soils. We work with manual. Everything. You have possibly a lot of grass. It is a standard for me.
So I mean, many of the people who follow me, I spend a lot of time in Italy. And one thing that fascinates me about the work you do in France, because it's more flat, are these tractors.
Yes. The tractors is not the standard tractors, because this picture for your idea, it is a picture. It is it's not a picture of today, but it is the same of you have a take a picture of today in my vineyard, so you have the same view of today. Yesterday we have a very good sun. Today it is not good sun, but no raining. The vineyard is the same plants, is the same development of today, and we make the tractor works with my staff. Today we have 2 tractors for this working, because it's very speed. We work the soils because we don't use chemical products in the soil. For is very structure for the wine is very important. This photo is very fantastic. It is the same photo of today.
But so in the picture you see the vineyard is quite flat, whereas in other regions in the world the vineyards are on the hill. Can you tell us a little bit about the type of terrain, terroir, and the grapes? Why are the grapes?
Yes, alors, in short presentation of the Champagne, if you want to start, the Champagne is a small region, is around of 34,000 hectares. We have 5 regions in Champagne. Normally we have a little picture with this. 5 regions in Champagne. And we have 3 grapes in Champagne, 2 black, Pinot Noir and Pinot Meunier, and white Chardonnay. The 2 blacks in Champagne, it is the majority of it is a black grapes. It's around of 70% of the in Champagne. It is the black grapes. On the last part is a Chardonnay. It is 30% only in Champagne. In Champagne, the selling in the standard selling for all area, it is around of 3 million bottles every year. Yes, we have 5 regions. It's the same. In the Montagne-de-Reims is pink. It's the first one. It is Montagne-de-Reims is more focused with the Pinot Noir.
Okay.
The second, Vallée de la Marne, it is my regions, because I live between Château-Thierry and Épernay. I'm very close to Épernay. It is more focused with the Pinot Meunier, the second black grapes. The gold Côte des Blancs, it is a majority of Chardonnay. On Côte de Sézanne, it's the same of Côte des Blancs, it is Chardonnay. On the last one is more in the sud in France, in Champagne, is a Côte des Bars. It is more focused with the Pinot Noir. Voilà, it is 5 plots in Champagne. For me, we have wine growers, and generally standard wine growers. We have plots. The vineyard is only 1 plot, 1 region. For me, we have some Champagne in 4 regions in Champagne. We have in my winery, we have 16 crus difference. Is important, and is we have two parts. The first part between January and September we dislike because it's very difficult to manage, because it's very too important to manage of my staff, of the working in the vineyard, and working to check, to look everything. In second part, after the harvest, we like this because it's very interesting. Very interesting for the tasting the wine, because it's not the same Champagne for each regions. Alors, it is the balance in my heart with this part. Mais it is interesting. We have the focus in the vinifications. Only we have make a little focus for this. We separate each grapes, each plots, each cru in my vats. Is very important for make the blending. But we finish the presentation of the regions. The selling in Champagne is around of 300 million bottles every year. We have different parts. We have the big names, Moët Jourdan, Veuve Clicquot. It is a negotiation. It's a big focus. It is 70% of the market. After, we have 10% of the market in Champagne by the cooperative. The big one is Nicolas Feuillat on Palmer. And after, we have 20%. It is a wine grower. It is my part. And we have around of 3,000 wine growers different in Champagnes. And we have different size. And to finish my presentation with the vineyards, and we have the two grapes, we have the different located, and we have a label in France with a label in the environmental labels is haute valeur environnementale, because it is to check my processes with respect the environment in the vineyard, and in my reflection around my vineyards, onto my wineries. It is very important. And for short presentation for me, for the selling, we have the selling between 150,000 bottles, between this and 200,000 bottles. And we sell a little part, majority in export now. We work in around of 40 different countries in the world. And it is a presentation of the family, of the winery at this moment. Perhaps you have some questions?
So I have so many questions. You told us where you're located. So you're west of Epernay and you're southwest of Reims.
Yes.
Can you tell us about the terroir where you are, the soil and the climate, compared maybe to the other areas?
Yes. In Champagne, you have only one appellations, only Champagnes. It is the same process of in Burgundy, because Burgundy you have around of now a little less of 100 different appellations. It is the same in France, in Champagne. To compare this with in Champagne, you have 300 different village crus. It's very important. And each cruise in Champagne, it is to compare with each appellations you have in Burgundy with Pommard, Meursault. It's very close, but it's different wines. After we have Beaune, you have Pernod. It's very different. It is the same in Champagne. And after each different wine grower, each different winemaker in Champagne, we have not the same style with the same grapes. To have too near of Reims, or too near of Epernay, or too near of Château Thierry, because generally we have a focus with Chardonnay, more Pinot Meunier, more Pinot Noir, and after the soil is very, very different. We have possibility to have, I don't know exactly in English, we craie, la craie, the white soils in Champagne.
Yeah.
I don't know in English the name. I have a focus. And it is very different for each different parcel.
Yeah. But do you then, because you have many different parcels, when you harvest the grapes, do you then vinify them separately, or do you blend and then vinify?
I know. In the vats, during the press, you have a little picture for the pressing, for the press. In Champagne, the harvest is manual. The machine is forbidden. We have no possibility to use a machine in Champagne. For example, for me, the staff during the harvest time, we have 70 people. Yes, you stay with this. 70 people doing the harvest. The big majority, it is the people picking the grapes in the vineyards, and after we are a little part to the staff come the grapes in the press and the pressing, and after the party the staff stay in the pressing and in the vats. For me, we have a focus doing this. We have what is the process. 2-3 days before the harvest, we start. We make some samples of each plot, and after you check the maturity, we check the acidity, and you check the quality in general of the grapes. And after you determine a tour, you determine a cycle, you start with this after the second of this. For me, we have in my winery, we have perhaps a little luck, because we have the size of my plot is big size. The medium size in Champagne is around of 1,000 meters.
Yeah, square meters.
Yes, it is. For me, it's a medium size in Champagne. For me, you have seven more, and it's very easy to separate each plots, each grapes, and each cruise. And we have different size of the vats in the winery, and different size in the vats, and with the different size of the vats, and we have possibility to separate each. And the very important step in Champagne, it is a blending. And before the blending, we have the maturations. We make some alcoholic fermentations in Champagne. And for me, all my vats it is in the still, and we control it is a press. Yes, it is still. We control the press, and we control the temperature during the alcoholic fermentations. The time for the one alcoholic fermentation in Champagne is around of 2 weeks. We transform the sugar in the grapes in alcohol. In these pictures, we have the majority it's the size for the vats. In your left, you have no standard vats. It is for the red part, because in Champagne, the atypical, in general in the world, with the black grapes, you make red wines. With the white grapes, you make white wines. In champagnes, you have present before, you have 2 black grapes, 1 white grapes. In generally, when you test a bottle of champagne, it is more white. The champagne, it is majority white, is not red. And we have a little part pink champagne. You make red wines, the same process from Burgundy, Bordeaux. We have the same vats for this, and it is only for my productions of the pink because the champagne is only region in the world where possibility to mix red with white for focus for the make of pink champagnes. It is after the blending, and before the bottling, we add red wine in the white wine for the color for the pink. For the finish, for the process, donc the harvest, we pick, we press. You have a short picture for the pressing. In champagne, the pressing is no standard pressing. Yes, it is one press. We have 2 press in the winery. It is 1 press. We make for this press 4,000 kilo. We make 4 hours for pressing this. On 4,000 kilo, we extract 2,550 liters. It is, and we separate on different plots. The most stay in the vats, in the vats. Around of the first time, around of 12 hours for the natural sedimentations, and after we pump the clear most for the new vats for the alcoholic fermentations for the process. And it is harvest, the standard date of harvest in Champagne is around of middle of September. In the last year is atypical. We start in August and we finish in August. It is no standard. We have started around of 18 August and we finish the 30 August. It's very, very early for us in Champagnes. After the alcoholic fermentations, we pump the wines with a new vat. We out the sediment because at the end, and we have the lees sediment in the vats, and after we pump the new vats, we clear the wines, and we make the blending. For us, the blending part is very important, and we test everything. For us, we have around of 70 different samples, and we're not in the nose, in the mouth, and after we make chemical, we mix to create different labels. This part is very important. We make this in December, January for finish the bottling in March. This part focus in champagnes. The majority when we test the bottle of champagne, it is no vintage champagnes. Why? It is atypical. The older wine, it is vintage, always vintage. In champagnes, is some no vintage. Why is this not vintage? The advantage, we mix several years together for the quality of the wines. For example, for my bottle in March, the big focus, it is with the last harvest, is 2020, and we have a little part in the we stock. Generally, for me, we stock in the oak barrels. The big oak barrels is food. It is no standard barrels. Yes, it is this part. For each barrels, it is around of 5,000 liters. And for example, we have my oldest wine we keep in the cellars. It is harvest 2010, and we keep per colors, par crus and par plots, different old wines, and we mix to create the different blending. We mix old wines and new wines to create the different bottles in my range. It's okay for this part?
It's amazing. But so you do make quite a few champagne, but today we are focusing on 4 of them.
Yes. If you want, you finish the process after the bottling to go to before the disgorgement.
Yeah.
And after you explain with the origin what it is some atypical champagnes, and after the reserve. If you want, after you have a aging part, we set the bottles in the horizontal positions in my cellars. The minimum for the low, for the new vintage, is 15 months. For us, my youngest champagne is 2.5 years. On the maximum, for example, now we're selling the vintage 2012. It is 8 years, 9 years in the cellars. It's this part. We stock the bottles in the horizontal positions, and during this process, it is bubbles coming in the bottles. Why the bubbles coming? We add some yeast, we add some sugar, and we have the second alcoholic fermentation in the bottles. And the sugar consumed by the yeast and produce the CO2, the carbon dioxide, and the bottle is closing, and the pressure up for each bottle, and in the final we have 6 bar per bottles during this part. And after is the aging part, we turn the bottles, the sediment go in the caps in the final, and after we make some disgorging, we open the caps without the sediment out of the bottles. And during this, we add some sugar. To explain, we have possibility to test some brut nature, brut zero, some demi-sec. It is the last part when we change this part. For the brut, it's the majority of the selling in champagne is the brut. For we add some around of 8-10 grams per liters for each bottle for the champagne brut. Brut nature or brut zero, for example, we start with origin is brut nature. We don't add sugar for these steps, and for the demi-sec is very sweet, is around of 30-40 grams. We compare this step with perhaps with a coffee. Some people like without of sugar. For me, is origin or brut nature, brut zero. People like a little sweet. We add 1 sugar. It is for me is brut. And perhaps some people like very sweet. They like sweet sugar in the coffee, and for me is demi-sec.
So I fall under brut is my
preference
level.
Yes, it is a different possibility for the different dosage, different height, level of sugar. In champagne, the majority is always brut. And brut nature and demi-sec, it depends of each country, and perhaps some people like more sweet or more dry. After is it depends for each people. Perhaps you have some questions or.
So we don't have any questions about that, but someone wants to know what is the oldest vintage champagne that you sell right now?
The oldest vintage?
Yeah.
In standard, we have 2 vintage in my portfolio now. It is a vintage 2010 and 2012. You have this possibility to test in Norway the 2 vintage. It's the same in my winery. We have the 2 vintage. But after we have collections in portfolio. We have we sell old vintage. After we sell, it's not a problem. It is very nice champagnes, but it's no standard champagnes. When we present this champagnes, is not the same. It is the same for the other wine with the new wine on very old wines. We have no possibility to wait the same style of the wine with a new champagnes or a standard champagne we sell in the portfolio. Now, yes, we have some in portfolio. If you want, then it is a 98, 99, and 2000. We have possibility to test this champagne or to buy some bottles in my shop. This champagne.
Yeah. So here.
Yes. It is perfect. It is collections. We have possibility. It is in. It is a picture of my my website.
Yeah.
It is a collections, and now we have focused with 3 years.
Yeah. But so are you ready to taste some champagne with us?
Yes, if you want, perhaps I take the bottles in the fridge and come back in the shop. Yes.
So we will taste these 4. If you don't have them, it's not a problem. But this is also the order that we will taste them. This was the order. It was the wrong order that I thought it was a different order, but this is how Jean-Marc would like to, or Mr. Charpentier would like to taste. So we start with the origin. We move on to the Reserve, Blanc de Blanc, and then the Prestige Rosé.
Alors, if you want the origin, for me, it is very new champagnes. 4 years ago, we have a little focus because when you present a new cuvée, a new champagne, you have only focus with champagne very long times. And we have decided to create a new champagnes. We would like to. We have stopped the extra brut. It's extra brut, and we have a more focus with the brut origin. The origin is it is the brut nature. We don't add some sugar during the disgorging. And this champagne. Donc, this champagnes, it is a mix with with 45 Pinot Noir and 55 45 Pinot Meunier and 55 Pinot Noir. And the vinification is standard. It is only the alcoholic fermentations in the still vats, all is thermoregulate. The reserve wine is stay in oak barrels. The majority is a big barrels, the same picture you have before, and we have a normal size of barrel in the winery. And aging around of 4 years in the cellar and before the disgorging. And we have don't add some liquor during the disgorging. And after it is and we have these bottles. We have started to sell this champagne in January. It is very young. It is my last baby in the portfolio, and we have now. Why do you start with the origin of the brut nature? It is champagne. It is very fresh. When we start some bottles, some champagne, you test some different bottles. you start always with a low dosage, and we finish more sweet, more demi-sec perhaps. And before demi-sec, we test the pink, and after we finish with the demi-sec. But the big focus, it is always low dosage, and after brut, and after pink, and after demi-sec. It is the decisions for to test some different champagne. This, it is very fresh. The color is always gold colors. Is always is standard, and in the nose is a composite with the white fruits, citrus fruits. It is the nose very fresh. This champagne you have 4 years, but it always fresh in the nose.
So you said it was 45 Pinot Meunier and 55 Pinot Noir. Is it every year the same blend, or you change?
Alors, for the new vintage champagne in my portfolio, we have a focus we don't want to change the style, and don't want with the style we don't change the mix. Alors perhaps it is you have together it is 45 55 perhaps the last year perhaps it is 44 56, but it is always around the same.
Yes.
Because we were like always focused with the same style. All my different cuvées, no vintage cuvées, we don't change the mix, only perhaps for the vintage. We don't decide not every year to make some vintage. When we make a vintage, because it is a nice vintage, it is nice, you have possibility to make some vintage. And it is only the tasting. When we make some bottles, for me, we make the blending. You have no idea, not idea before what is the blend. Is only the tasting. We decide PR more focused with the Chardonnay, more focused Pinot Noir, more focused Pinot Meunier. We have not decided before. For each vintage, we change on the blend.
Okay.
And after you have in the most we have it is lively, ample, freshly. It is it's not. We have always the same note with a little lemony. And in the final we have a little touch of saline.
Yeah.
Alors, what is the preference? We test this. What is it is perfect for the aperitif. It is perfect for in summertime, perhaps. It is my idea. It's more easy for to test with low dosage is when it is summer times. It is the same time, same opposite in during the winter time. It's more easy for to test the champagne with a little more sugar. It is in the general position for everyone. After perhaps one people like we have a focus like only sweet champagnes. Perhaps some people like without of sugar. After the majority of people, it is this.
But so maybe you already said this, but I'm learning a lot of new terminology today. But it says brut natur, and then it says brut, and then it says reserve brut. What is the difference? What's brut natur versus reserve brut?
Alors, brut nature, it is a different part of dosage. Brut nature, it is a part origin, it is the name of the quality. And Brut Nature is the part of the dosage. Brut Nature, the name Brut Nature is without of, we don't add some sugar during the disgorging, Brut Nature.
Okay.
A Brut, it is a part of sugar. It is between 6 and 12 grams per liters. You have sugar in the bottles. For Brut Nature, it is we have perhaps 1 gram per liters because it is the end of the alcoholic fermentations.
Okay.
During the harvest. You understand?
Yeah.
It is a reserve. Alors, perhaps the reserve. It is a reserve. It is a champagne with brut. It is brut. It is a majority of selling. It is brut in France.
Okay.
Enfin, in Champagne in general.
But so we taste the origin, and now we move on to the is it Reserve Brut or Brut Reserve?
It depends of you. Alors, now we have my communication is more focused with the reserve, is the name of the labels.
Yeah.
Yes. It is a green labels, more focused for this, because it's a reserve, and after the dosage, it is after. Now it is a reserve, it is a part of dosage in boat.
Okay.
Alors, the reserve, for me, it is a little the focus for the reserve. The reserve, it is a champagne with, it is my best seller in my portfolio. It is a mix of 80% of Pinot Meunier and 20 Pinot Noir. Always black labels, black grapes. The process is around of the same of vinification of the origin, only the section is not the same. The aging is around of 3 years in the cellars before the selling, and the dosage is brut. We have around of 6 grams per liters for these bottles.
It's
in the nose, what is the color is always the color very gold, but very easy color, very clear colors, always bright. The nose, in the nose, we have possibility very fruity, very red fruity. We have possibility to find in the nose, and it is very pleasant. It's very easy champagnes. And after in the mouth, we have a very delicate bouquet in the mouth with a note of red fruit and a little spice.
yeah. What would you eat with this? What food would you have with Reserve?
For example, the Reserve Brut, it is my bestsellers in my portfolio. But after this, it is a very easy champagne. It is a champagne very consensual. To opposite with the first one, it is nice champagne, but without of liquors. Perhaps some people is a little fresh. It's not so consensual. The first one, the second is very easy to start with the aperitif, perhaps with perhaps a cold fish, perhaps pâté croûte. I don't know in English to transfer with this. Is a meal without of the meal inside and out. We have the same of the tart. I don't know.
No, I think I don't know the word either, but
1 second, we translate. I have Google Translate.
But so origin is more, you know, summer aperitivo, whereas the Reserve Brut is maybe a little bit more food champagne.
Oui. Pâte croûte. The translate in English, pâté croûte. I don't know if it is right. This part, yes, the reserve is very more consensual champagnes for to make some party, for to make some party with some friends. The champagne is we have it is very easy to like this. Is between all people like this. You have no to oppose it with the Blanc de Blanc, the third champagnes. Blanc de Blanc is very fresh, and perhaps some people like this, perhaps some people dislike. But Blanc de Blanc is not easy consensual. The Reserve Brut is very champagne, very consensual for everything.
Okay.
Is the same for origin, is the same for the champagne of demi-sec. Perhaps some people like these champagnes, but the majority people is so sweet with this like this.
Yeah.
Origin, we have possibly the same part of this. It's so dry for me. For the reserve, for me, is very simple for to test this.
Interesting. But so let's move on to the Blanc de Blanc, because that means, for those of us who don't speak a lot of French, it means it's just Chardonnay. It's just white grapes, right? The Blanc de Blanc.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Blanc de Blanc is very popular and very popular in Norway. Why? I don't know. See, I know a little. This champagne is only Chardonnay. We have perhaps one advantage. We have different plots on different areas, and we have some Chardonnay in my winery. And we have created since several years champagne very typical for the Blanc de Blanc and very easy Blanc de Blanc. Blanc de Blanc is only Chardonnay, only white. You test in the colors is green colors, very no. The other is more gold. This is very green colors. This Blanc de Blanc is very fresh, and the aging is almost 3 years in the cellars, 2 or 3 years in cellars, and this cuvée is more and more popular in my portfolio. In the nose, you have a little fruit, but very part of white colors, a little peach, a little of citrus. We have the nose. It is a very long time in the nose, and in the mouth is very fresh. To compare with the reserve, it is very red fruits. To compare with Blanc de Blanc, is not the same fruit. It's very fresh, more lemon, more agrumes. Pamplemousse. Pamplemousse. Excuse me. My English.
Pas français.
Ouais. My English is not.
Your English is very good. It's much better than my French.
It's not a little of lemon, very lemon in the mouth. In the nose, you have this part, this aroma, and after it is very fresh.
It is very very fresh. I'm trying to.
And for our little part, we have a lot of different for this Blanc de Blanc is very popular, and we have a lot of different gold medals in different awards in France or outside of France for the Blanc de Blanc. And the same for Origin. We have received the beginning of since last week's a gold medals always for Origin. It's okay for the Blanc de Blanc, or do you have some questions?
No, it's okay. It's my favorite. Is the Blanc de Blanc is my favorite, but I also really like the Origin.
Origin.
Yeah, and the Reserve Brut. I like all of them. They're
all is 3 different champagnes. In my portfolio today we present 4 champagnes. We have a large portfolio, each different labels for me, each different wines. For me, I have some formation of honorist, and when we decide to different bottles, we are very focused for each labels. It is very particular for these wines. It's very different wines for each labels.
Yeah. But so we are tasting one last champagne. It's the Prestige
Rosé.
Yes.
The Prestige Rosé. In the first part, you have before you have a little part some presentations. The rosé in Champagne, it's the only possibility in Champagne to mix red wine and the white wine before the bottling to create rosé. Only in Champagne in the world you have possibility to mix together. It is the blend is so different with the 3 before. It is a big focus with the Pinot Noir, 60% Pinot Noir, 20 Meunier, 20 Chardonnay. The blending on the process is around the same without with the other champagnes. Only focus. We had 8% of red wine in the white wine for the color for the pink. The colors, which is perhaps a little of my part, we don't like. I don't like the very dark rosé. I prefer very clear rosé. For me, it is more the elegance for the rosé, and my rosé, and the color of my pink is very clear champagnes. And we add amount of 7-8% of red wine in the white wine for the color for the pink before the bottling. Dosage always brut, amount of 6 grams for the dosage. And after the color, always the color of a little of salmon for the color for the pink. We are for this. And in the nose, we are possibility to find a little of exotic fruits, a little of bonbon anglais, English, a little red fruit in the final, in the nose. It's okay for you? Or?
Yeah. No, I'm learning a lot of new things, and we're getting some questions here as well.
And it's very in the most. You have possibility very intense, very lively and balanced in the most. Very, it's very very important to test in the most.
Yeah. But so it says it's brut, but to me it feels maybe more sweet than the other brut.
Alors the dosage it is the same.
Yeah.
You make some analytic of the bottles, the analytic chemical, and the part of the dosage, it is very important part. You have no, perhaps a little part of tomorrow morning, my job, we start with a new session of disgorging. And for each different labels, we have, it's not the same dosage. And we make some samples before when you start with a new wine, with a new blending. We make some testing is very important. I prefer 5.5 grams per liter to 6 to 7 to 8 grams, and we make some samples and we test everything, and after we decide. When we test these bottles, I have now the analytic chemical. It is only the nose and the mouth we decide more sweet or less sweet. We have no influence with the dosage in the analytic systems. For me, the very important, it is testing with a glass. Because when we test together, when we test alone, with a family, with some friends, it is a testing. We have no analytic with the glass. It is only the decide with bottles. And yes, I am agree with your positions. The Prestige Rosé, when we test, perhaps it is more sweet. It is impressions, but it's not analytic.
Yeah. No, but it's the same with the, Barbera or Barolo or Dolcetto. It can maybe feel sweet, but it's still dry. So yes. The feeling can be sweet, but the wine is still dry. So I have some questions because you showed us before. You showed us before that you press the grapes, you then put them in the vats, and then you. Yes. Put them in the barrels, and we have a picture of the barrels here. In these barrels, does each barrel have the same vintage, or is it just the same appellation or cru? You mix?
We have we have one grapes, one crus, one vintage per barrels. We don't mix some before the blending. We don't mix some vintage, several vintage or several grapes per barrels.
Okay, so in one barrel, it's one grape, one vintage, one plot.
Yes. Perfect.
Okay, and then later you'd mix it in before you put in the bottle.
Yes. We will like a lot of different possibilities to make some blending, and we keep very separate each plot, each grapes, and each everything.
And so we're almost out of time. It's almost 8. But before we go, can you show us the old machines behind you that you showed me before?
Yes. Yes. Be careful. Before we remove my computers, tomorrow we make some disgorging. Perhaps we ask with my sisters to make a little story is Instagram tomorrow for to check. It is a special for you. Now it is a very old machine. Tomorrow we work with the machine is more easy, and the cadence is more important. Yes, I asked with my sisters to make in the stories tomorrow the Instagram. The disgorging is more easy. We have the area we have today, it is my area for the private tasting room. Perhaps one time you're coming in France on to test, you're coming in the winery, it is this. And we have a short museum here. It is a very old machine, perhaps a little my father, perhaps a little my grandfather, and you use this machine for the disgorging. Hello, 1 second, please. This one, it is a small barrels. It is for to the reception the caps, because when we open the caps, we have the same caps of the beer. And it is for the reception of the caps and a little the sediment before we add some liquor. It is this machine. It is some liquor here for the different dosage, and this machine, and we move this, and when you make one tour, the liquor, we add some liquors here, and after we add some liquors. It is machine for to make we make some bottles here. On this, for to introduce the cork here. And after the very old machines here to make some muselet, for to close the cork with this machine. The bottle is here, and we add some muselet, and we turn the machine. I don't know, it is some very good explications.
No, it's wonderful. It's but as you said, today you use some more advanced technology, and so maybe as you
yes, tomorrow this we open by hand each bottles. Tomorrow in my story you are opened by glasses. We froze the sediment is minus 25-26 degrees Celsius during 5-6 minutes, and after the sediment is freezing, we make the bottles in normal positions. We go in the first steps, go in the machine to clean the caps with the waters. And after the first machine, we open the caps. After second machines, we add some liquors. And after make the cork, make the muselet. And after we have some camera. Why the camera? After the process, it's very important to check the level, the quality of the cork. You have no in the bottle some problems, and everything. After is out, and after the machine, the last machine, we mix the bottles. Is the same of mix with the Monaco for the beer. We add some liquors. The density of the wine is not the same. We turn the bottles, and in the last position, we wash and we dry each bottles. And after this bottle stay minimum 3-4 months before the labels and sent outside the bottles. And now we have tomorrow perhaps 8,000 bottles to make this, and with this with 3 people for tomorrow, and with this machine we have 4 people, and we make 4,000 bottles per day.
a lot of work.
Yes, it's not the same.
No, but thank you so much for doing this, Monsieur Charpentier. It's been a pleasure to learn more about Champagne and more about Charpentier. So thank you for spending some time with us.
Thank you for you. You have some questions, you have possibility to answer some questions for you. And after you have some questions, you have possibility to send me some email of via Instagram. You have possibility, no problems for everything, some questions. Yeah. And thank you very much for your time, for your people to wait my speech. In my English is not so perfect. And now I wait. You have a good ambassador for the Champagne in Norway, and in general Champagne, and perhaps a little of my Champagne du Charpentier.
I am a big Charpentier fan, so I will. It's always it's the champagne we have in my house always. So. And I'm very happy now to have tried some new, because we normally just drink the Blanc de Blanc.
Yes.
But this was very interesting.
You have some questions, a possibility? You have you use system Solera for the system for any cuvée? Yes, we have a little of Solera, but you use Solera. Alors perhaps to explain what is Solera. Solera, it is we have a Solera system. Yes. What to explain Solera? It is several years in the same vat, and you pick a little part every year, and you complete with a new one in this vat. You have a little part of Solera, perhaps 1 or 2 vats to Solera. Which cuvée do you use? No, for the vintage, first time, and perhaps a little part for the Prestige in the white on the Prestige Rosé. And you have test the wines here, because the Prestige Rosé, it is the bottles is no standard bottles. It is a special design. And for this, and for the Premier Cru, and we have here some Premier Cru.
So I think I got some questions along the way, but I think we answered most of people's questions. But like Jean-Marc said, if you have more questions, just email me or him, and we will answer them for you. But I think we will. I will drink some champagne this evening, and then. We hope to visit you at your winery in France when it's possible.
Yes, and the questions for the Cuvée Pierre-Henri. Cuvée Pierre-Henri is not standard champagne. It is Cuvée. It is only Pinot Meunier. Only Pinot Meunier. It is the champagne is special grapes in champagnes. Pinot Noir is more easy to find outside in Champagne. Chardonnay to find outside in Champagnes. Pinot Meunier is very local grapes. It's very only typical grapes in Champagnes. Pinot Meunier, we have created this champagne is a little more of 20 years ago. Only Pinot Meunier, only all vineyards, only in oak barrel. The small size, and no malolactic. When we have decided to create this cuvée, we would like to make to no standard champagne to opposite on we make outside. And now this champagne is it is very old champagnes. Old in the years, but in the most very fresh. The Pinot Meunier on this blend now we have 8 and 12. 8 and 9. The mix is 2008 and 2009 on bottling in 10. It is very, we have 11 years, 12 years, and for the bars 2012 is not yet.
Not yet, but soon maybe.
Yes, perhaps in 1-2 years, 2 years perhaps. We don't make some Piemonte not every year because very focus. We check before the harvest the very old vineyards and possibility to, with the quality of the grapes, possibility to create Piemonte or not. Voilà, it is all this. What is your best vintage? Oh, it's so difficult. The best vintage. We have no best vintage. It's very difficult. It's the same question. What is your favorite champagne? I have any favorite. It depends of each event or each part due to taste. And for me, it's always a pleasure to taste some champagnes. But I have always in my head when you taste a bottle of champagnes. Perhaps Saturday evening. No, it's not possible in France. Saturday evening, we have a cover food. Alors Saturday for the lunch or for the. Always we open with my friends or with the family. When we open the bottles, I have always one idea. I would like the aging is good, the dosage is always good. It depends. With a long time you don't taste this cuvée. Always in my head to check, to change to this. And the frost effect. Yes, in France we have a big part in the beginning. In March in France is very dry and very hot. There is no standard degree Celsius. The last week of March for here we have during 2-3 days 25, 28 degrees Celsius the afternoon. And it's very hot, very, very hot. And the effect of this is the buds, yes?
Yeah, the buds, yeah.
The buds, green after this temperature. And we have beginning of April, we have a third part, the same of France, the effect of this, yes.
This is a picture not from Champagne, but it's the same. So this was before, and then the frost, yes. And this is
yes, this system. We have this part in France, in Champagne, yes. But after the difference, it is more usual. It's not the good words, perhaps. May you have possibility. We have a period of the frost, a lot of more important in Champagne to opposite in the south of the France. Because the Champagne is very north in the France. Every 2, 3, 4 years, we have a little part is frozen. Yes, you are frozen. Perhaps now it is no standard because we don't like this period. But it's more easy to find this period in Champagne with frost. Yes, we have some impact now. Since 2-3 days is very easy to make the impact of the freezing. For me, we will make some compilations with the different plots. Now we have perhaps 20-25% to impact with the freezing for the harvest 2021. It is an impact for this.
But just so everyone knows, frost doesn't affect the quality of the wine. It just affects.
No, everything. Only the quantity.
Yeah.
The quality of the grapes. For the quality of the harvest, it is always 1 month before the harvest. Between April to August, the different effect with the temperature, with the climate, we affect the quantity. For the quality is only during the period of the maturations, when the grapes more bigger, more to add some sugar in the grapes of this. But for it is this period for the quality of the grapes. The frost, we are possibility to this harvest. Perhaps it was a very good vintage. I don't know. I don't yet. But the quantity, it's sure for this harvest, the quantity is less.
Yeah.
Of the last harvest. This period, it is sure for this period.
Yeah. Unfortunately, but we're crossing our fingers for good weather the rest of the year.
Yes. Yes. Now we fingers crossed for this. It is only the beginning of the period is very important. May, June, July is 3 big periods, 3 big months for the working in the vineyards, for the working with my staff. On this period, generally, is not the period we don't like to go outside in France to visit my different distributor, because it's very important for to stay with the staff, or to very reactions. It depends of the climate, of the weather, of the running on this period. Well, for this year, it's very easy for to go no outside. Donc, the question is in simple.
But so we are now quite past our time together. Thank you for following us, everyone. And I think we've answered all the questions, and so I think we will end here, if that's okay with everyone. It's okay with you, Jean-Marc?
For me, it's okay. It depends of you, but for me, it's okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time. It's very pleasure for me.
Yeah, for me too. And thank everyone for watching. And then look at the Instagram tomorrow for the newer method of dosage.
Yes, for the new disgorging.
Disgorging, sorry.
On dosage, during the process of disgorging, we make some dosage. Yes. And tomorrow, yes, we make a shop in brut and demi-sec, because you have a special market with very sweet champagnes, and you like very sweet champagne. Okay, thank you very much. And you have possibility you follow us by Instagram, G Charpentier, and always Piemontegirl.
It's a dream team.
It's not a problem.
So thank you. Bonsoir.
Bonsoir et bonne soirée à vous.
Bye.
Bye bye.